Our next guest is a leading functional medicine expert who specializes in clinically investigating the underlying factors of chronic disease and customizing programs for thyroid issues, autoimmune conditions, hormonal dysfunctions, digestive disorders, and more.
He's here to talk about one of the biggest hot topics in wellness right now, inflammation. Welcome, Dr. Will Cole. Good morning.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good to see you. So it is a word we hear a lot about. What exactly is inflammation?
Inflammation is a product of our immune system. So it's inflammation imbalance is a good thing. It heals our body. It's a good part of our health. The problem is when inflammation is out of balance. It's sort of the breaking of the Goldilocks principle. And too high inflammation is like fire, a forest fire burning in perpetuity. And this is linked to just about every health problem out there. Diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune conditions, even anxiety, fatigue, brain fog have inflammatory components. This is something that most people are dealing with, sadly, in the country, and we have to start talking about it.
And so, do I have to be suffering from one of those chronic diseases to have inflammation? How do I know if I have inflammation? How has it affected your clients' lives?
Yeah, so it's a spectrum. The one side of that inflammation spectrum is sort of low-grade fatigue, brain fog, maybe anxiety, and all the way to the other side where you are diagnosed with a health problem like diabetes or heart disease or autoimmune conditions. And because as a functional medicine practitioner, these are the people that I have a heart for and that I spend my time getting them healthy. So it's a major part of my practice because it's what so many people are going through.
Why do you think it's something that everybody is now talking about? Is it that researchers have just realized this is the root of so much? Is it just worse inside of all of us than it was?
I think it's a bit of both. I think when you look at the epidemic rise of chronic health problems, I mean, 50 million Americans have an autoimmune condition. They estimate 50% of the United States is insulin resistant or pre-diabetes or diabetes. So I think it's the growing amounts, but it's also the research finding these inflammatory components to these health problems.
And you say lifestyle plays a role, obviously, in all of this.
Oh, majorly. I mean, most of the chronic health problems that we face as a society today is driven by lifestyle. And the things we do in our life, these what's called epigenetic factors, the things we're doing in our life influence our biochemistry.
And when you say lifestyle, isn't lifestyle primarily diet?
Yeah, it's diet, it's the foods we're eating or the foods we're not eating, it's our stress levels, it's exposure to environmental toxins, our sleep, all of that stuff are constantly and dynamically instructing our biochemistry.
Okay, so how would someone know, let's say they don't have a chronic disease that you mentioned or something that contributes to this inflammation. What are things that people are feeling to go, okay, this is an issue, the balance is off within me?
Yeah, I would start looking at your energy levels. Do you have the energy that you want throughout the day? And then look at maybe this low-grade anxiety. I find that a lot of people have that and it's so normal for them, they don't even realize they're anxious or wound up. And then obviously tight muscles, tight joints, digestive problems. These are all signs that there's inflammation going on.
What are we not eating?
Well, I think we're not eating enough of real foods as a nation, largely. I mean, we like convenience, we like packaged foods. I mean, this is common sense, but not enough of us are doing it, even though we know we should be doing it. So the best time to start making these changes is now, because, I mean, these are chronic health problems that take years to get to where they're at.
Now, if you feel you have this, is there, can you go to a doctor? Are there tests that can show and prove it? And then is there medical, outside of lifestyle changes, are there pills or anything you can do about it?
Yeah, great question. So there are some basic tests that anybody can ask their doctor to run. One is high sensitivity C-reactive protein. It's an inflammation marker. In functional medicine, we want it under 1. And homocysteine is another inflammatory marker. We want it under 7. Those are basic tests that anybody can ask their doctor to run. And it gives a good objective data as to where your inflammation levels are.
You sort of touched on food, but and sleep as well. Are there some things that I can do right now if I feel like I'm having that brain fog, you know, at a certain point of the day? I don't feel quite right. What can I do right now?
Well, food is first. I would say look at what you have in your cabinet, what you have in your fridge, and start bringing in more fruits and vegetables into your life. Clean protein, wild-caught fish, healthy fats, things like olives, olive oil, avocados, avocado oil. That's a huge modulator in our health and start to lowering inflammation levels.
I've always heard that dairy can be inflammatory for some people. Some things that you think you're doing a good thing. I'm eating yogurt. You know, I'm drinking whole milk or things like that. But that can also cause issues for people, right?
Yeah, some people are dairy sensitive, some aren't, and you can definitely get good quality dairy to mitigate the impact of that. But there's research to show that it's really the crossbreeding of our cows that's the problem. So beta A1 casein, it's the type of the dairy protein. It's kind of the new casein on the block from an ancestral health standpoint. That the sort of primordial cows have beta A2 casein. So you'll see this in the health food stores.
Well, that A2 milk.
Exactly. So that's what it is. And it's more in alignment with our genetics, which haven't changed in 10,000 years. So it's eating more in alignment with our genetics.
Really interesting stuff, and I'm sure you have questions at home. For more information on Dr. Will Cole, you can go to drwillcole.com, and I'm sure you'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, doctor.
Thank you.